Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Tom Kelly, and this is Clean Cut Audio, a channel dedicated to helping you produce better sounding podcasts and get them done more efficiently. This week I'm covering sidechain compression. This is a topic I haven't really wanted to discuss, and truth be told, it's one I still don't really want to discuss, but the people have been asking for it, and I am a man of the people. I am happy to answer questions and provide tutorials and walkthroughs and demos for really anything that you are interested in. This isn't something that I really do in podcast production and music production all the time, but I have other methods for achieving the same, but I think better results. But again, a lot of people wanted to know about this, so I'm going to, in this week's video, show you what is sidechain compression and how to set it up, and then subscribe to the channel because next week I'm going to be experimenting with something I think this might actually be pretty useful for. So we're going to have some fun in the next couple weeks. I'm glad you're here. Make sure to stick around, subscribe, and let's do it! Alright, so first things first, what is sidechain compression? Actually, that's not going to be the first thing. We need to talk about what is compression. I've done many videos on compression. I have paid courses. I covered this a lot in my podcast and in the videos. So that is going to be step one. Check the card in the top right of your screen. If you don't really know anything about compression, I've got great videos that will cover the basics because these are adding on to those principles. But very quickly, compression is meant to reduce the dynamic range of an audio source. So that is the difference between the loudest and the quietest portions of your audio. Usually that means if I were to get really loud, right, a compressor is going to know, based on parameters that I give it, me saying really loud is too loud and it'll bring that signal down. Now it's bringing the signal down based on the signal. Sidechain compression is doing something a little different. It's compressing the signal based on a different signal. So if I were talking and I was clapping my hands, I could set up a compressor to react to my hands clapping, but it would compress my vocals. So it's like an added step to compression. We're coming in with an external source and compressing a file, a signal based on a different signal. Let's take a look at this quick little graph I made in a few minutes in Photoshop. We basically have, in our normal signal chain, we have our audio going to a master fader, and then that is sending signal out to your headphones or hopefully your studio monitors, right? We prefer the latter. With a sidechain, what we're doing is we're setting up a bus send and a bus receive path. So we're adding almost like an additional output coming out the side, and we're sending that to a different source. So we have audio 2. We can see that that audio is still going to the output, but we add a second output that is being routed into the signal chain of the first audio file. If you're not familiar with bus sends and all that stuff, don't worry. We're going to dig into it a little bit in the video. But it's just like we can send our audio other places. We can send it to a place that will not be output later on. We can do all kinds of stuff as long as we have a DAW that supports bus sends. I don't think Audacity does, so therefore I don't think sidechain compression is an option for you Audacity users. I do apologize. Let's dig into Pro Tools. We've got a few things here that might be able to help understand what's going on. I have 2 tracks. I've got a source track and a bleed track. So I set up 2 microphones, and this is the bleed from the other microphone, and then this is my voice going into it. So we can see the waveforms pretty similar. This one's much smaller. It's off axis. I was in the null zone. And what I'm going to do is, in order to reduce this signal kind of automatically, I'm going to send this audio into the path of this one to compress it. And we'll go over why people like to do this, why I don't like to do this, but some of the benefits of sidechain compression. So what we have to do here is in Pro Tools, and this is again in any other DAW that supports sends and receives, we have our send path here, and I'm going to just set up in the bus channel, bus 1. Can be anything. Got it set to Unity. I'm going to click pre-fader, and I'll explain that in a second. And for right now, that's all I'm going to do. So this audio is now going to send a signal into bus 1. Now we need to set up something that will receive bus 1. We have a compressor, the Dyne 3 compressor and limiter. It is the stock compressor and limiter in Pro Tools. Free plugin, super powerful. What we want to do is we want this compressor to receive the signal from bus 1, which is this audio. So in this little key here, we're going to set the key input to bus 1. And in order to register this compression as a sidechain over here in sidechain, we will click the key. So now we have set this compressor to react to bus 1, which is going to be this audio. And now it's going to compress this signal based on this audio. So let's kind of take a look at just what is happening in this compressor. Hey, I am currently recording into the Shure SM7B from a so we can see it's compressing the hell out of this bottom signal here, which is what we're trying to do. We don't want to hear this microphone bleed, because if we hear the mic bleed, hey, I am currently recording into the Shure SM7B. It adds some phasing and some depth and distance that is undesirable. So let's listen to with and without the mic bleed. This is going to be with. Hey, I am currently recording into the Shure SM7B from approximately 0.0 inches away. And I have my... So with the mic bleed, it adds this room sound, this ambience that is not very good. It's probably a little bit hard to hear. As we start compressing things, you'll hear, later on the signal, you'd hear it better, but we don't want it. So what we can do is set up the sidechain compressor to automatically just duck this audio. So anytime this audio, this source file is talking, it's getting rid of this mic bleed. Now let's listen to before and after just the mic bleed. Hey, I am currently recording into the Shure SM7B. That's just the mic bleed, and then this is the mic with sidechain compression. Hey, I am currently recording into the Shure SM7B from approximately 0.0 inches away, and I have... All right, so it is reducing the signal a lot. The cool thing is, and why people like sidechain compression, is because in this moment here, it's not loud enough to affect this signal. So when the speakers flip, the sidechain compression is going to release, allowing this signal to fully come through, and we can see that here. And I have my AKG. And actually, it came through a little bit, right? So got a little bit of signal here. So it did compress this, even though we didn't really want it to. So there are some huge limitations to sidechain compression, and that's why I don't usually use it, especially in this instance when people use it to try to eliminate mic bleed. Mic bleed gone, right? No need for a sidechain compressor. I understand it might take a little bit of time to manually cut all of your audio, but I remember once doing a 7.5-hour podcast. I manually cut everything in 45 minutes, which, again, 45 minutes is a big chunk of time, but if that were an hour-long episode, it would be 5 minutes, right? So it's not a ton of time. Setting up a sidechain compressor can be kind of finicky, and I prefer to just manually do stuff like that, but that is why people use sidechain compression. Now, it can get kind of tricky with crosstalk, and you might hear a familiar effect if you use something like Zoom or Zencaster. When two people talk at the same time and both signals get squashed, essentially what's happening is each of these channels are ducking each other. And I'm going to simulate this here by adding a second sidechain compression. So now this channel is affecting this one is affecting this one, and when they both talk, they're both clamping down on each other. So we'll hear something, if someone were to say like, oh yeah, while someone else is talking, it's going to kind of crush the other person's signal. We can hear that here. And I have my AKG Perception 420 about I have 3 my feet away. AKG talking into its null zone, right? So it obviously I copy and pasted some random part of the audio, but both signals get clamped down. And for that reason, I don't really enjoy sidechain compression. I would rather just delete this audio and now everyone is heard clearly. If we don't even want that crosstalk, we can just get rid of it. So it's a simple concept that I understand the interest in it. I just think there's a better way to do it. A lot of people will think that this is possibly easier than the alternative. I tend to disagree. I don't really think it's that useful in podcasting, but the beauty of audio is you should experiment with absolutely everything. There should be no reason that I should stand here saying don't use sidechain compression because it's not good for anything. Try it. See if it works for you. It doesn't work for me. That doesn't mean it's the right or the wrong thing. I think it is a really cool option to have on hand. It's great in music for a lot of reasons, but I tend to not use it too much in podcasting, but still it's a good thing to know. And just to recap everything here, sidechain compression is a compressor being activated by an external audio source. So again, the compressor is reacting to this and it's applying that compression to the audio below it. That's really it. There's a lot we can do with it. Again, musically, it can be very interesting and is really a cornerstone of many electronic music patterns with the bass and the kick drum. But for podcasting, I don't love it. But next week, I will be experimenting with something I think it can be really useful for, an issue that I heard in my own podcast last week when dealing with fan noise from my laptop. I think I have a grounding issue with my interface. I'm getting a little bit of preamp noise that wasn't there before. So I'm going to experiment with it. So again, subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be kind of just playing around in next week's video. I'm really excited for it. I really want to find a way to celebrate sidechain compression, but for right now in podcasting, I'm skeptical, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that I'm right, doesn't mean you're wrong, it just means that's my preference and that's what I'm sticking with, which is, again, a-okay. So thank you for checking out this video. I hope it explained to you sidechain compression. It's like a simple concept that's kind of hard to wrap your head around if you're not familiar with bus sends. Maybe we'll have to do more videos on that, but for right now I just want to keep it simple. I don't want to overwhelm you. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and if you're interested, I also have a podcast called Clean Cut Audio. You can find it at cleancutaudio.com/podcast. And if you are looking to be a part of a community of people that really love audio for podcasting, check out the new Discord server. I'm currently building it, but it is at cleancutaudio.com/discord. And hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun in there. I really would love to hear from everyone in the server right now. If they use sidechain compression in their podcast, and how do they do it? Why do they love it? I want to hear as many opinions as possible, because that's the only way we can get better is if we all get better together. So join the community, subscribe to the channel, check out the podcast. Do anything you want to, nothing you don't want to. It is all good. I love you all. I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.